What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Monday edition of Get Technical. I'm your host, Neal Hamilton. Ponytail edition. Today we'll be doing a ponytail edition of the show because my air conditioning broke in my apartment. Yes, I changed the filter. It is hot as all get out. But we're gonna do it anyways.
Today. Ooh, he fresh. He got that man bun on fleek. You don't mess with my man over here. Sheesh. God damn.
All right. If you guys missed it, my air conditioning is broken. It's hot as all get out. I put my hair into a ponytail. All right. That's what we do. That's what we do. Haircut? No, never. Yeah, happy. I literally have nightmares about that. Wake up and run my fingers through my hair. Smile and go back to sleep. Guys, Bloom Energy Corporation. BE. I talked about it a few times on this show. What's it doing? What's it doing? It's what they're all doing. All our little babies that we've been watching, our little seeds that we planted in the ground, starting to blossom. We got a little garden going of accumulation phase stocks that were oversold and are now entering their markup phase. Ladies and gentlemen. Happy Muhammad. There we go. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Anyone here, give me a 1 in the chat if you got into Bloom Energy when we brought it up on Get Technical. It's up 17% over the last 3 days. As expected. I'm not surprised. Looks like nobody. I thought Neal was... Spencer is my brother. Spencer is my brother. We have different parents, though. All right, so no one got into Bloom Energy. You guys missed out on that. We're coming out. We're hitting the price targets that we set previously. Really, we just got it. Let me get rid of this big rectangle to make it more obvious, and I'll switch to weekly to make it a little clearer. We're breaking out of our markdown. Really nice stuff. Good for you, Bloom Energy. Good for you. Sure, the executives are very happy right now there. Where's my paintbrush? There you are. Markdown phase. Accumulation, very clearly defined by our double bottom here. And then just a nice climbing right up. Climbing right up. We passed our first price target of 22.54. Next price target is at 22.60. We're sharding. We're sharding.
Short.
We're gonna shard. No, we don't say short around here. That's apparently that's against the rules in society today. We're sharding for let me get a ruler. It's my freaking ruler. An overall gain on this trade. So we were below this. I'm not sure when we did this. It might have been like Thursday. I'll say like right here. I'll just go with the close on Thursday. An overall gain of about 23% on this one. And all that's doing is completing the double bottom. That's all that's doing. We are still looking to continue this accumulation phase. So we're looking for a price structure like that. So at least achieving the previous high that was at the beginning of the market down. So we want to get to this level. I'm being a bit conservative with my 35, but I'm looking for that previous all-time high up around 44, making this a double bagger. Neal Hamilton, Israel. Yeah, so there you go. Nice thing getting above this 26. This 26, it's really 27. Let me move this up. Let's go for a round number on this for this target. Nice round number. Getting above that nice round number, we start to look at getting into a serious launch pad here. Look at that right there. All right. So if you guys are feeling a double bagger on Bloom Energy, give me a pss in the chat. Give me a pss, pss.
What type of energy? Is it like clean energy, bro? Or is it like...
That's a really good question, and I don't know. Sustainable, reliable, resilient, sustainable, and cost-efficient on-site electricity for your organization. So B2B manufactures solid oxide fuel cells to produce electricity on site.
Yeah, bro. I'm like big into the environment. So
really, bro?
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know you were like conscious like that, bro.
Yeah, like recycling, that's my ish.
Wow, ish. That's my ish. That's a lit ish. All right, guys, we got a few of these, and remember, we must get to 100 likes if you want the Spice Girls to get out of the server room at Benzinga. Bert from Benzinga has been feeding them lean cuisines, but he only got the macaroni and cheese ones. Posh Spice not happy about the mac and cheese issue, so he went to the store and he cleared out what was his favorite without polling any of the Spice Girls for what they like. So yeah, it's the fridge at Benzinga, or the freezer rather, just full of mac and cheese lean cuisines. Post-it note on it says for the Spice Girls only. So we will be sliding that under the door. Do not worry, they're completely safe. But if you want them to come out and sing their greatest hits, you got to get this video to 100 likes. All right. Yeah, this part of the show is designed to alienate and make uncomfortable our older demographic viewers. Yeah, so this is nice. But where else do we see this price structure, guys? Let's look at some of our other stocks. BGFE, we got beat up on the daily. It was like right after, was it after earnings? Yeah, right after earnings. They sold off. But they're creeping back up. They're creeping right back up to that initial price target that I said. I got this stupid note here. Let me get this out of the way. You guys can see my dotted lines. Those are my like resistance levels, which are essentially sell targets. We're doing a good job. We actually just broke above a pivot point here on BGFV. So big shout out to anyone that saw the rare triple bottom on BGFV and bought the fear and made gains. I mean, you could have possibly made it. I mean, sheesh. It's a 13% trade, 3 days. Let's go. Where else are we seeing this structure? Palantir, guys. So over a longer time frame on Palantir, let me remove some drawings. Over a longer time frame. Oh, I've had the Bollinger Band on this whole time, guys. That's what that extra thing was. Happy Muhammad, David. That's what that other indicator. I had this thing, the Bollinger Band on. Sorry if that was messy. Sometimes I don't notice. On a broader time frame, we've got a big rounding bottom on Palantir. All right, reversal pattern, accumulation, long accumulation. The longer that phase of accumulation, the bigger the. What rhymes with accumulation, producer AB?
Birth of a nation.
maybe. Google that on your own and don't say that again. All right, guys. Seriously. Okay. So Palantir, yeah, big accumulation phase here. But within this, though, we have our downward trend, a short-term downward trend, our little accumulation within that, patterns within patterns. Remember, markets are fractal, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like we're starting to come out. This little pattern down here, we've got on the big screen, we've got our rounding bottom. Here, we've got an ascending triangle reversal pattern. Do you guys see it? Follow along on your charts if you're not. This is our ascending triangle reversal pattern. This is what you see at the end of downtrends if the thing wants to reverse, and we are broken out. So this is, for many investors, a buy signal. We've broken out of multi-day, I mean, I would say week even. Let me break this to a consolidate to a week. 1, 2, 3 week resistance there on the ascending triangle reversal pattern. We are breaking out. This could be the final breakout before we start approaching the neckline here on our greater rounding bottom. So yeah, there you go, folks. This is actually sort of the meat. The neckline is up here, 27. So immediate targets coming out of this is 23, a couple percent there. But returning to the neckline coming out of the running bottom from the current price, which is the high at 1:13 p.m. Eastern time on a breakout. Price target's gonna be, ruler please, another 19%, 20% getting us up to the neckline. But remember, I'm looking at this as accumulation. See my green lines and the sloppy? This is what I picture happening. So I think Palantir is looking bullish. Keeping in mind, earnings are just a couple days ahead, though, guys. What I really like about this big move is that it was on average volume. It didn't take big volume to make this big old candlestick for the day. So good ratios.
So obligation, simulation.
I think that one we just want to lay that. We just want to let that piece of history just kind of disappear.
Yeah, in both senses, the movie and the
yep. So here we got Teladoc. So Teladoc. Hold on one second. This looks familiar. Looks like, what was the first one we looked at?
BE, Bloom Energy.
Damn right it was. Damn right. And what was happening with Bloom Energy?
Accumulation.
Yeah, it is. Breaking out of this little double bottom here too. And then let's go back over to DocuSign, not DocuSign, I'm sorry.
T-Doc.
T-Doc, there it is. DocuSign we'll probably talk about with Chris Capre when he comes on.
Our illustrious guest.
Yeah, only illustrious guest here on Get Technical. T-Doc, right here, double bottoming, my friends. Right here, double bottoming. Trading within a sideways channel that you're going to want to watch. Could break down again, sure. But the broader price structure is what I'm interested in. All right.
Michael, don't think bribing us is going to work.
Well, hold on. What's the bribe? Oh, thanks for it.
I'm just kidding. It does work really well, actually.
It works. Michael, thanks for the 2. We'll hit works in a second.
Yeah.
Mark up, mark down, accumulation, mark up, mark down. All right, guys. You see that?
Shout out Dow.
Shout out Dow. Shout out Wyckoff. I just imagine like an athlete or like a rapper, like award speech. Like, know, number one, first and foremost, I like to thank Charles Dow. And like they all do that every single time. Is that not a small Head and Shoulders? I don't know where you see the Head and Shoulders.
Small. It's SMOL.
Sometimes you see Head and Shoulders when there's not a Head and Shoulders. Sometimes you see patterns where there are no patterns.
And that's when it's time to consult a psychiatrist. We also have, I want to check out before our illustrious guest joins us in about 13 minutes. We're going to get to Works. And then, Neal, let's also take a look at FUBO. I think we have a bull pennant forming on FUBO.
Yeah, let's hit Works. And then we can do FUBO. Whoa, where is this? Okay, I'm about to tell you no. So thanks for the 2. This stock moves to. You can play games with it, but this is a volatile puppy, as we say here on Benzinga live stream. Here, let me go to the day. Let me turn on my. Are these not on? Moving indicators. Like look at this look at all these signals this thing has gotten Works. Each one of these green bars is a golden cross. But what I will say is that this is a nice divergence, not used in the typical sense of the term in technical analysis, but a nice divergence between the 50-day moving average and the 200. You can see that the 50-day moving average here in Works was support. So it is following some rules. And it was resistance here, some measure of support. It dipped below resistance. This is the 50-day simple moving average, the green line, crossing above the 200. But this thing is so volatile that it's going to pull up that 50-day moving average and create like sort of false golden crosses. So you look for a golden cross for like a swing trade or positional trade or time to enter an investment. But when it's up here like this and it's overbought, it's going to whipsaw right back down. Likely, there's a likelihood that it can do that. And then it makes this stuff just noise. So most of the stuff that I look for in my trend trading starts to become unreliable when I look at Works, WORX, which isn't to say like you could totally day trade this. We get stocks like this all the time, where it's like, I look at this thing on the 10-minute, and then I see all types of opportunities, and it's very clear what's going on. You can really just, number one is just watch your levels, which you kind of hit for the day here. So I wouldn't expect too much more leeway unless something crazy happens, unless there's like a huge surge of volume toward the close. But it kind of looks like it's exhausted most of its upward potential. So the stocks like this are a lot more for experienced scalpers and day traders than I would say for like sort of the swing trade people that are looking for reliable trends to trade within. Which is most of what we talk about in technical analysis. Right back at you, Joey. All right, how many likes do we have?
We have, last I checked, we were at 50, but let me run my APIs.
Yeah, fire up the APIs.
Oh, KPIs.
Oh, the KPIs. Okay. That notoriously Randy Samples just put a word in chat that was auto-blocked.
We're at 70 likes right now.
All right, we're at 70 likes. 30 more, we let the Spice Girls out of the server room. All right. We'll consider maybe mixing it up in terms of mac and cheese. I don't know. We might do like sweet and sour chicken. I think they got that at the Kroger.
I'd never been to a Kroger before I moved up here to beautiful Michigan.
You like it?
Yeah, for like a regional grocery chain, it's pretty good.
All right.
But real quick, if we have a couple minutes to look at FUBO, I think we've been seeing that in the chat a little bit.
Wait. Oh, sorry, I was spelling it wrong. Sheesh!
Yeah,
you guys want to see technical analysis on stuff after it's already kind of passed, but okay. So one is I would expect a little volatility around earnings and the fact that we're super overbought. Wait, this is 10 minutes. Jeez Louise. Okay. Hold on. Let me.
What are we looking at now?
Let me back it up. We're on the daily now. Looks good. This thing's in an upward trend. So what happened with FUBO is this FUBO is like a few weeks to a few months ahead of the other stocks that we're looking at, like TDOC and BE. In that it already had its accumulation phase, which here on the monthly, if I delete all my drawings on the monthly, this is it. That's the whole damn thing. And then now it's broken this downward trend and now it's on its way up. So if we go down to the daily, start deleting some drawings once again. Whoops, excuse me. We do have that golden cross, which is really nice to see before a markup phase. Let's go ahead and get that illustration once again. We can do let's do the Dow one. This is the one that OG watchers of the show know that I have tattooed on my chest. And if any video ever gets to 250 likes, you get to see the tattoo. And if we get to 300 likes, Aaron gets a tattoo on his lower belly, like right above where his belt is. Very, very nice tattoo for that spot on your body. So we're looking at FUBO right now. This area is right here. And when you get right here, that's when you circle back over here, right? These are market cycles. So FUBO's in a great spot. And this golden cross is a great indication. It's going to be a signal for a lot of investors. You can see that, I mean, just how important the 250-day moving averages are, simple moving averages. Those are the resistance for the day. That's where we got to before we started selling a bit. So FUBO looking fantastic, really good call out. Here on the daily, we can see that the structure is your volleyball short, unisex volleyball short, double bottom here, coming out of this accumulation. We've broken above the neckline on that volleyball double bottom, looking absolutely luscious, ready to go. Breaking out of the 50 and 200-day moving averages is going to be another really bullish signal, but let's watch out for earnings, right? There could be another buying opportunity. So I think overall the structure holds. That's just cycles. That's just how this thing works. And then this is like similar to Palantir, where it's a structure within a structure, where we overall are looking at this like a big old rounding bottom, the neckline right about here. That's just about the neckline right there. But for the short time frame, I would watch out for earnings, because like we saw with, if I go back to BGFV, earnings created a huge buying opportunity. It can happen. It might move on you, but that's okay, because you're keeping the larger price structure in mind. You're getting in on the ground floor of the accumulation before a massive markup phase. So really good position to be in on FUBO. Great stock right now. Killer stock to be in right now. That one's getting on the watch list. Awesome sauce. Dow Theory, Tramp Stamp. I believe, is Tramp Stamp, are we allowed to say that still? 13 more likes to get to Spice Girls, guys. 13 more likes to Spice Girls. 10 more likes to Spice Girls. Okay. Good call on FUBO. That's in the official watch list. And then you can also see, if you're watching the volume profile, that you've got this happening right here, lining up. Like you can see the peak of the volume here lining up like perfectly with that resistance level. Crazy all that stuff converges. We still got room to go on RSI. Let me move my drawing tool. Still got room to go on RSI. And let me double click this and just point out that we're still at average volume. So we might see that thrust of volume as we break out above these key indicators here, which is the volume shelf, the resistance, just the basic price structure level, and then the 50 and 200-day moving average. Also, I don't know if you guys can see it, but we're pretty much like we've just broken above the pivot point. I just have the traditional calculation for pivot points on my charts, the yellow lines. We're just broken above that pivot point. So according to the pivots, which calculate the open, close, high, and low, and then you input those into a formula for setting resistance levels, support and resistance levels, your next price target is going to be about 31. But I would watch for that buying opportunity based on what happens with the earnings. Earnings could go either way, and you still might sell off. At which point you've got support once again. Let me stamp it. You've got support once again at 24. But if it's going to do the BGFV thing, which is just like falling knife, just go straight down, you've got your next support just using your pivots, baby, at 22.77. Tiny Pie, no, I kind of stopped using MACD. What do you? Kindred Duke asks, what do we get at 100 likes? You get the Spice Girls, the actual Spice Girls. I don't know what better price you can get on any other stream on the internet. All right, we got 3 minutes until we bring on our most illustrious guest, Mr. Chris Capre. I feel pretty good about the stocks we covered. Less is more in this situation. We really like FUBO right now. Let me look at Spot really quick. Spot has potential. I'd like to see some stronger candles. But I mean, look at the structure. It's the same as all of the other ones. Exactly the same.
Ooh, right back at you, Shelly.
Smooth. So you go with Spotify. Now, I mean, if we look at Spotify, let's look at a weekly.
That looks kind of head and shoulders-y to me.
Yeah, so if you want to do it like that, you could say, so you want to find the armpits on your head and shoulders, which is like slanted in this case. Whoops. Your armpit is like this. Wait. Yeah. So yeah, it certainly does. It does, but it's not the Bible, you know? It's not the freaking law of the land.
Rosetta Stone.
It's not the Rosetta Stone. I just started using Duolingo to learn Spanish. So this
have you taken Spanish previously, or is this your first foray in the?
It's my first one. I did French and German, and now I'm going to learn Spanish, which is quite fun so far.
What do you think about Duolingo stock?
Let's look at it. That's what's crazy. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm like, this app is a publicly traded company.
Yeah, Spencer and I were talking about it, and we both have the app downloaded, but haven't used it like in the last year. So we're thinking. Yeah,
but have you traveled at all in the last year?
No, there's like a global pandemic going on.
Yeah,
made
exactly. So I think that when there's more travel and the prospect of actually being around people that speak those languages, that it stimulates use for that. I think
that's fair, but I think we're just saying overall, like the numbers might look really good. Like, oh, look how many people have our app downloaded. But then if you dig deeper in like how often people are actually using it, it might not be as good of usership numbers. But that's just me speculating. And what do I know?
No, you know a lot. I want to know what their MAUs are. Do you look for MAUs when you're listening to earnings calls with subscription services?
Yeah. So what is that? Monthly average users?
Active. Is the key part of that. Active. Who's subscribed and actually using the thing? It's a little bit different.
That's why like Robinhood, like a majority of the people that have their app downloaded are checking it every single day, which is like very strong and kind of that's like outpaces a lot of other apps.
Mm-hmm. Duolingo just in a sideways channel.
Yeah, kind of boring until we get more data. More.
Yep, exactly right. It's at this pivot level and might be able to hit resistance. I don't know. Roblox, we'll do Roblox, and then we're bringing on our illustrious guest. So STBC, Neal, what is going on with Roblox? How can it not move for 15 minutes? Is it halted?
Our illustrious guest said he is going to cover Roblox. So.
Oh, okay. Then the answer is on the way. Don't touch that dial. Let's bring on Chris Capre from Second Skies Forex.
What is up, my friends? How are we doing?
Good. How are you today, Chris?
Good. Is this a haircut or is this just slick back hair? What's going on here?
My air conditioning is broken, and yes, I changed the filter on it. Yes, I unplugged it for 30 minutes and then plugged it back in to reset the little computer inside it. Okay. And it's just hot as all get out in my studio apartment in downtown Detroit. My 30,000 square foot studio apartment in downtown Detroit.
What about one of those like things that you like, the stand-up ones that you like plug into the wall? It's got like the heavy duty cables in them. So if your air conditioner is down, might as well get one of those. No point in cooking.
Yeah, as soon as we're done with this show, I'm gonna order one of those.
He's running to get the air conditioner.
Yeah, I'm ordering one of those on the Shipped app.
Copy that.
But yeah, Chris, good to have you back. really excited to talk about using options for understanding what is happening with price action, as well as constructing options trades. But you did mention in chat that you had a little bit of something to say about Roblox. Love to hear.
Yeah,
it.
we could start with that. And real quickly, you were talking about the head and shoulders. Can I ask you real quick, what were you thinking if I draw a head and shoulders? Let me share my screen because I know you guys always say I forget that. That's totally true. I'm learning. This old dog can learn new tricks.
Boom. All right. Well, we got it. There you go. Well done. Well done.
Okay. I know. Well done. It's a breakthrough. So if you have the head, right shoulder, or head, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, what are you saying is the best entry?
So I'm not saying it is a head and shoulders, but I'm saying
Okay.
that the entry based on classical technical analysis is going to be the height of the head to the armpit subtracted from the armpit.
Yeah. The armpit or neckline. Yeah. Okay. Armpit and neckline. They're close. They're close. All right. So I'm going to tell you that classical technical book was wrong.
I kind of said that. I don't look at head and shoulders like that. I've seen a lot of fake outs with head and shoulders. So I don't know.
Let's just forget about the fake outs. Let's say you do get a legitimate breakout. Where is the actual best entry? My students can answer this, but where is the actual best entry on a head and shoulders? I know it's tricky. This is get technical. This is get technical deep.
Here, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I already know the answer, but I want to encourage participation.
Okay. Let's see what everybody says. Oh, J-Bay has a question. What were your options play be here? I'm thinking right here now, but okay, we'll get into Roblox really quickly. Next short. Okay, copy that. So we have the classic one, which is short at the neckline. Knees and toes. Break down the neckline. I do 12% below the breach. You're looking for kind of to eliminate the false break, Shelly. Okay, copy that. So a little bit lower. Copy that. Yes. Finally, the right shoulder peak is the best entry. The right shoulder is the best entry, especially if the right shoulder matches with the left shoulder. If the right shoulder matches with the left shoulder, you have to take that trade. We already have, let's eliminate some of these lines here. Clean this up just a little bit. But you have to take this trade. So if you have a new swing high that breaks back below this, then the bulls weren't able to contain price from going lower. So you have a false break here. That's already one sign of weakness. If it makes it to like the middle of this area, the head and shoulders, fine, there's some liquidity there and then it bounces. But if it makes it all the way down, that's a complete retracement of this leg. Second sign of weakness. So then if this starts to come up and starts to round out right where there's prior resistance, that's your best entry. This is your best entry. It also gives you the best stop loss because your stop loss is right above the right shoulder. So you have a really clear defined level. You have a really clear defined stop loss. If you have enough room, this can be a 4, 5, 10R trade. And if it does break, then it can go for a gangster run. One of my best trades was shorting pound yen. This is way back in my FX days. This is a long time ago. Way back at like 211 based on a head and shoulders pattern. And the thing just dropped like oodles and oodles of pips. And that was, if you only get to the neckline and it stops there, fine. You still make a great profit. You take some profit out. But if it does break, you let more of it run and try and capture as much of the neckline as possible. It may not run the whole distance from the head to the neckline or armpit, as Neal says, but it usually runs a good portion of that. So remember, this is get technical from a 2-decade veteran. This is your best entry right there. So hopefully that answers your questions on that. Okay, now we want to shift to Roblox. Let's talk about Roblox. Roblox has had a little bit of a gangster run today. It's got earnings out next Monday, I think. Next Monday or Tuesday. So what are my thoughts on Roblox? I actually think Roblox is a great options play for the rest of the year. So I'm talking about December and taking the January expiry on this one here. I like buying a bull call spread on Roblox. You can wait till after earnings if you want to, because the IV will come down after earnings. But what I like is, let me show you the 4-hour chart and kind of show you what I'm thinking. I feel like if we can get back into this area down here, somewhere between 79 and, sub 84, we're talking like 82 to 79 range. I like taking a long 85, so that would be plus the calls here, and then selling the 100s. That gives Roblox the rest of the year plus the first month of January to close at or above 100. If it closes at or above 100, you capture the full profit in this one. And the great thing about this right now is the pricing. The pricing on the Roblox calls, let me tape this in here for you. We look at the January 22 expiry. The 85s right now are pricing at $13.60, but they got a 58 delta. So if this drops about $2, then the price on these calls is going to drop about $1.16 roughly. So let's say we can get these for 12 flat. If I want to buy a vertical on this one here, buy the 85s and sell the 100s, I'm going to be paying roughly $4.25 for that. And the payout comes out to about $11 on that one. So it's over a 2-hour, almost a 3-hour trade on this one here. You get time, for this thing to bake itself above $100. I think it's shown that between 80 and 75, there's going to be a solid support. Buyers are going to come back in. And I think they're going to make an end of year push on this one here. I look at the weekly on this one here. We had a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of exuberant pop past 100 here. We've had a definite pullback, but you see, okay, we're getting into 80s. Now we're going to get some buying. And we're going to dip in here. Now we're going to find more liquidity and a little bit of uncertainty, which is right around here. And now we're popping. And I think this has probably got a short-term base between 75 and 80. So I like a few dollar pullback on Roblox, then taking a long bull call spread for the January 22 expiries on this one here. And that would price it at roughly $4, maybe $4.25. And your upside be almost $12 on this one here. So selling the 80 or buying the 85s and selling the 100s. So that's what I'm thinking on Roblox. Questions on that one from my Zinger Nation here. Benzinga has the cutest Get Technical host. Okay, you're going to make me blush now. Or maybe you're not talking about me, maybe you're talking about Neal. So that's certainly a possibility. His new hairdo, the non-air conditioned hairdo, might just be, making women go wild. JB is saying, Chris, why bull call spreads versus calls in this instance? Because right now the calls are somewhat pricey. Calls right now on Roblox at 85 are pricing in about $13. Even if you get them down to 12, that means this has to go at least $12 from 85 before you are really in the money. And that's, that's like at $97 before you really have paid off the cost of this option. Now, maybe that's not your goal. Maybe you just want to buy it for $13 and sell it for $20. That's not bad, but I usually want to make if I'm going to buy long calls, I want to make the call of my option and then some. Because right now, IV is definitely pretty high. We have earnings coming out, so buying long calls doesn't make sense. If you're thinking, hey, after earnings, I still think at that point, you'd be better off selling some premium on this one here. I'm not sure it's going to get above 100. I'm not sure it's going to get above 100 by the end of this year. I mean, that was pretty stiff resistance. I think it's going to be above $75, $80, but I'm not sure it's going to be above 100. So I'd rather do a bull call spread on this one here than just buying calls outright. This is a good question. We get Spice after Chris leaves. He doesn't want to see us get weird. It's all good. It's all good. Okay, next question on this one here. No, TLM and OMG analysis, please. Okay, we'll get into that. I got a couple others. I remind you of your favorite professor. Oh, that's really nice. Is this Neal with the haircut? Yeah, slightly. It's a few more hairs cut than Neal. Okay, let's move on to the next one, Novavax, which I think is a good option play. Here's what I'm thinking on Novavax. So Novavax, we are long stock and long options on this one here, so full disclosure. And same with Roblox, we are long stock and long options, so full disclosure on that. What I'm thinking with Roblox is, never mind the fact that it's shown a consistent support at 175, 180. What I'm really feeling about Novavax is they just signed a deal in the EU for 200 million doses in the EU. Now, I like the technology of the Novavax vaccine. It's a protein adjuvant, so it doesn't actually, what it does is it actually produces the virus in you in a contained way that doesn't actually spread, but then it allows the immune system to build the antibodies and clean it out. It's not mRNA tech. It's not like the Johnson & Johnson. It's a protein adjuvant. So slightly different tech. It's kind of the way old vaccines were done. And I think in this case, it's actually a solid technology. So they're producing these vaccines in the UK and EU. I think those results, if they turn out well, are going to start to give them more leverage to expand more globally. The reason why they don't have it in the US, they don't have enough production right now. They're only producing about close to 100 million doses a month. So they would need to have several months of just producing vaccines just to cover the US. Canada signed up for about 50 million doses, and that will happen about Q4 this year. So they got a lot of things in the pipeline that aren't at full speed right now, but they're winding up. They are in acceleration mode. And as they continue to ramp up production, I think that's going to benefit them more and more. And so that means that EU, UK, Canada, possibly a fourth vaccine in the US, maybe the fifth with AstraZeneca. And then it's also going to start being shipped to other countries like India and other places globally. So I think Novavax is in a great position for, again, an end of year push, but it's not fully baked into the cake yet. And so I want to give it time. And so what I'm thinking in terms of options, very similar. Look at a January 22 expiry or maybe end of Q1 22 expiry. And what I'm thinking is let this price dip a little bit. Show you what I'm thinking on the 4 hour. I'd like to see it dip to like right around 205. Right around 205 is where I like to see it get to. And if it gets to the 205, what I want to do is I want to buy the 210s, which is right about where we are now. So buy the calls here, and I want to sell the 240s. So I want to sell the 240s at current pricing right now. Let me pull this up on Thinkorswim. Current pricing on Novavax, January 22 expiry. If I was to do this 210 as it is, and keep in mind, if it drops $5, that's going to lower the price of the calls by a lot. 210, 240 is coming out at about a 935 debit. If it gets on a 205, you're probably talking about $6.5. So you're talking a $6.5 cost for it. And yet it would pay out about $21, $22. That's over a 3R return on this one here. So that's kind of what I'm looking at on Novavax in terms of my potential trade on that one there. Let me look at the chat, make sure we're all good on that. Booster shots. I liked your analysis on Duolingo. That was Neal. Palantir calls. Can you check space? JB says, thank you very much, Chris. You're the best. I appreciate it. I tune in for the Spice Girls and get to learn how to make money. I love it. Wouldn't it be awesome if you get to make money and the Spice Girls all in one? I mean, that's the real winner. Money Mitch, can we hit the like for the options education? I'm writing notes. Good man here. All right, so I think we've covered that. No questions on it. Oh, that notoriously Randy Samples has a question. So I have just started doing spreads. I bought an 80 and a 90 call with a January 22 expiry a while ago. What's my best move to add to the position? I don't think you need to add to it right now. I think you're in a pretty good place. Basically, you need this to close above 90 to get full profit. And I think that's a pretty probable scenario. So nothing really to do at this point except just write it out. I would consider writing new options at this point. So you can do another bull call spread in 85 to 100 if you wanted to. You could get long stock potentially at 85 on Roblox and then sell premium against that. The premium is pretty decent right now. It's not a huge dislocation from historical IV, but it's enough. Yeah, I know your question's on Roblox. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I would consider just layering in different bull call spreads at this point. I wouldn't consider ratio spreads or long butterflies or anything like that, like long call butterflies. I think at this point, you just want to take vertical plays on this one for right now. So that's what I'm thinking. Okay, let me cover the last one, and then we'll go to open Q&A. So Canadian Solar. I'm not thinking a vertical on this one. I'm thinking a neutral play on this one here. Why? Because the Benzinga report says we got earnings coming out. I love this little thing here. It makes it so much easier for me than what I have. Let me replace you. I love this little thing that you guys put out in the tweets every day. I could get this information off your Benzinga Pro platform, but this just simplifies it so much. And so I look at this every week because I do earnings plays all the time. And I see one right here. There's several I see. I like Neo. I'm considering one on Sonos maybe. I like a potential on Disney and Airbnb. I am looking at Canadian Solar as well. And that's what I want to talk about right now. So Canadian Solar, it's not going anywhere. And when I've looked at earnings historically, earnings, it doesn't have gangster jumps to the upside or downside. So if it doesn't have gangster jumps to the upside or downside, and we think IV is elevated above historical right now, which I think it is, and we think it might pull back a little bit, in other words, you might get an IV crush or an IV reduction post earnings, well, then what kind of delta neutral play could we take? You could take Iron Butterfly, or you can take Iron Condor. Iron Condor has a payout like this, basically, and Iron Butterfly is like this. And you just need to get it to close inside the tent. So either one of those I think are fine. I feel like Canadian Solar is well supported in this kind of 39.78 to 40 range. I don't see Canadian Solar after earnings getting below 37. So maybe like a 40, 37, 40, 43, maybe 44. That would be 43. So that would be an even Iron Butterfly. So the 40s would be your interiors, and then you would have the long 43 and long 37. So you'd be selling these and then longing these. The other one is you can go Iron Butterfly. And if you're going to do Iron Butterfly, then I would probably sell 38 and maybe 42. And then, buy further out, like maybe 44s and 36s. So that's kind of I'm thinking is a neutral strategy on Canadian Solar playing the earnings. It's before the open on Thursday. So that means you want to get this place Wednesday right before close. You get it Wednesday right before close because IV will still be high. And after the market closes and after market's done, you're going to collect theta. You're going to collect theta decay for that one day. And since you're close to the Friday expiry, that theta is just going to continue to increase on Thursday. So assuming it's not a gangster earnings, it's not something that kicks it wildly up and down, then you might even be able to ride it out Thursday and let the theta decay even more and just capture as much theta decay and IV crush on that as you can. Because you're basically shorting volatility on this one here. You're shorting volatility and you're going long and you're shorting time on this one basically. So that's pretty much it. Questions on that one before we move on? So you like selling puts or buying calls? I like neutral plays on this one. Iron Butterfly or Iron Condors. I prefer Iron Butterflies. If you have the margin, sometimes I actually do a lot of these. If you have the margin and the premium is good and there's a good dislocation between IV and historical, and you have the capacity to get long or short the stock, then I recommend straddles. Straddles have the highest payout. Basically, you're selling the calls and puts at the same strike. And so if it's closing like right at 41.50 or 42, you'd basically long and short those calls. Or you'd short the calls and short the puts. So in a straddle, you're shorting the 42 calls and shorting the 42 puts. I'm just saying 42 as an example. And the payouts like that. It's a much wider tent than, say, an Iron Butterfly, but it has technically unlimited risk. If if the market moves past your break evens, this thing can go on to infinity to the upside or to zero on the downside. That's why you have to be prepared to get long or short the stock at this point, or long the stock if it goes above the price. So that's what I'm thinking on is a straddle. I do a lot of straddles, and when I don't do straddles, I'm doing Iron Butterflies. So I'm not thinking selling puts or getting calls or anything like that. I'm thinking neutral play. I want to trade the volatility crush or reduction in volatility, and I want to trade the theta decay. That's what I'm doing on that one. Do I do goofy impersonations too? I do, actually. I do a pretty good Carmen. I use the Carmen voice for my kitties. So anytime I try and impersonate what the kitties are saying to me, I use a Carmen voice. For my dog, it's kind of like a very gruffy teddy bear. So yes, I do that. Okay, let's get some open Q&A. And the hair is back. Mr. AC Hair is back. Palantir call.
Dude, It sounded like you were saying Carmen, but for clarity, I
Yeah.
picked up on you're saying Cartman.
Sorry,
South Park.
Cartman. Sorry. Cartman. Yeah. I do a pretty good Cartman.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially the one where he, the No Kitty, My Popeye. I do a pretty good one of that. But that's another show. We'll have to save that one.
Oh, okay, we'll save it. I thought I'd be able to get out of you. You preempted me.
Palantir calls. I'm not crazy about Palantir. I was talking about this with my members today during our live session. I'm not crazy about it right now. Why? So let me pull up Palantir on the options universe. There's a decent amount of options activity in Palantir for a new stock, about 2.3 million calls, 1.3 million puts. So, 3.6 million. It's not bad. That's good activity. The biggest gamma strike, in other words, the most amount of gamma that's expiring on this option is the August 20 OPEX. So it's not for a few weeks out. So we don't have to worry about short-term options and monetization or anything like that. But when I look at the technicals on this one here, and the premium is not that great, we definitely found a bid at 21, but it kept getting sold back. And, again, it hits here and sold back. Technically, this is building like a breakout, but it hasn't just gone running. This has gone maybe 30, 40 cents. So it's not that basically what you're seeing is two things. One, there's not a gangster amount of buying interest on the breakout of this. If there was, this thing would push more than, 30 cents. Two, we're also noticing that if there was a lot of people stopped out at this level, then if they're short and they get stopped out, that stop loss is a buy. So there's not a lot of order flow pushing this past the breakout level here. So I'm just not convinced that Palantir is like a super kind of, how would you say, it's not like there's this uber interest in it right now. It's not exuberant. And so it's not impulsive. And so I look at that and I don't see a lot of people saying, we want to buy it or anything like that. So the price action and the order flow is not showing long calls right now. And when I look at the option universe, I don't see this getting beyond 25. This is what we thought would be resistance here. I just don't see it getting past that this week. Maybe not even next week. So I'm not crazy about long calls right now, and I don't see any positive news catalysts. Plus, also, you don't want to. Palantir has earnings, the 12th. So you don't want to get long gamma going into the earnings because the IV is already elevated, and gamma's already elevated, and it can only elevate so much more. And so I don't want to get long options going into earnings if they're already pretty elevated to some degree. If you get long gamma, you want to get it in a low IV environment to go from low IV to high IV. That's when you get the kind of the highest gamma acceleration. And price has to move for gamma to really gain in value. So anytime you're long options, you're long gamma. Anytime you're short options, you're short of gamma. And the best way to be long gamma is to get quick moves the moment you get it, because that accelerates the gamma in your favor. If it doesn't, then yeah. Does everybody understand when I talk about long gamma, when your long calls your long gamma? Yes, no. Put a 1 in the chat if you understand it. Put a 2 in the chat if you do not understand it. Silence. Crickets. On Palantir. Okay, one person's got it. 2, okay. 1, 2. Okay, it's a mix. Okay, a bit. Okay. Yeah, Greeks are a little bit more 1.5. Good answer. Greeks are a little bit more complicated. It helps to understand the Greeks after you feel, but don't jump into the Greeks in the early part of options. My recommendation is only jump into the Greeks after you feel like you understand the core concepts, the core aspects of options, how to execute them, how, what are calls and puts, how you can combine them. Calls and puts are just various building blocks that you can construct in various ways to trade options and then adjust options. It's super important. Like a ratio spread is long a certain amount of calls at a certain price and then selling 2x that amount at another price. Okay, so you're technically selling this premium to fund a more expensive call here. But if you feel like the stock is going to run, well, then you can always add more calls. So now it's a bull call spread, or you can get long stock to completely neutralize the delta on this here. Options are, once you start to understand calls and puts and the various combinations, you understand verticals, you understand spreads, you understand neutral plays, and you kind of get an idea of all that's in place. Only then do I recommend understanding Greeks. If you try and understand Greeks in the beginning, it just complexifies it. You don't need Greeks in the beginning. You need to understand the core blocks of options. And only after you understand that should you start to look at Greeks. So maybe down the line, a month or two, we'll do a class on one of the Greeks or a couple of the Greeks. All right, mRNA. This guy's he's just copy paste repeating. It's cool. I was looking at mRNA earlier today too. So mRNA. This will be the last one of the day probably. I wouldn't want to trade. I like being long vaccine stocks right now, but this is kind of a gangster move. Like, let's look at this. And for those of you who know my impulsive corrective, I'm going to mention it again. Impulsive corrective, breakout of impulsive highs. We got to stay bullish on this one here. There's no reason to be shorting Moderna right now. There was a decent day trade on this one here. Right here. Just super impulsive buying right out of the gate. Floating above the 9. Anytime you float above the 9, it's high momentum. Very tight corrective structure at the top. When that happens after a long impulsive move, probability suggests the next leg is up. This corrective structure is slightly pulling back a little bit. And it's a little bit wider. So there's a little bit more selling in the market than there was here. Here, there was no selling in the market. There's a little bit more selling. Dip buyers are coming in, but we're not there yet. I would say let this extend back and consider it potentially around here, but it may not get there. It may try and reattack this. With that being said, is there a way to play options on Moderna? I don't think you want to long calls right now because IV is super high. I think it's too high. When I look at Moderna prior to today, there was a lot of option resistance at 430. We've completely destroyed that. And so when I look at what's going on in activity in the options just for today, Moderna, you got a lot of options. That's a lot. Few hundred K right now. And Moderna only had 600K going into this. So in one day, it's done, wow, 400,000 options today. It's done 60% of its entire options universe in one day. So what's that going to do? That, and who knows if these are short-term, I can see about 100,000 options just today on the August 13th expiry. So I think the way to play this is, I think it's too early to rush into it. These August 13 options are going to be monetized as the week goes on. I probably say wait towards the end of the week if you want to get long Moderna. Let the options get monetized on Thursday and Friday. Moderna will probably pull back a little bit and then take that dip after those options are getting monetized. It's too pricey at the current price. I wouldn't touch it until 460.5, and ideally a little bit lower than that. So let these options play themselves out. Let them get monetized. Market will pull back. Then look to get long, either a bull call spread or long calls on Moderna. Probably a bull call spread because the calls will be too expensive. All right, I know the curtain's coming in.
Beautifully stated. Chris Capre, thanks for being with us on a Monday, as you always are. Chris, where can folks get some more of that Capri-ness?
They can just, I'm now really just posting new content on our website every single day, Monday through Friday, new trade ideas and stocks that we're looking at short, medium, and long term. You can actually go to secondskies.com. We are rebuilding the website. We own Second Skies domain, and it will take you to our domain. That's going to be our new URL in 1 to 2 weeks from now.
Great. Makes it a lot easier, folks. Links are coming up in the chat, guys. Go ahead and click those to get more of that Chris goodness. Chris, thanks so much for being with us.
Good seeing you, and see you all in Zinger Nation. Be well.
All right, good. All right, guys. Only illustrious guests here on Get Technical. Big shout out to you guys actually in chat for coming up with some really good tickers, really good questions. I really love seeing that participation during that session. We did get to 100 likes, which is our threshold for the Spice Girl to be let out of the Benzinga server room. So Aaron Bree, go ahead and give Bert the signal to go over there with his big ring of keys and let him out. Okay, good. All right, so hold on one sec.
And we do have Mood or Bust coming up right after this.
Are the Spice Girls ready?
Yes, they are. They're just standing by.
Yo, tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Get Technical.
So tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
This has been the Monday edition. Stock market's crazy right now. Indices are like kind of flat, but you're getting rewarded for having really good picks. So this is for you guys. Posh Spice approves. Ginger says you get 2 good picks the next time you watch Get Technical. Sporty is saying the same thing, or is that Baby? I don't know. This is probably Sporty, I think. And then Baby is saying that. Did Sporty have braces? I think that Sporty had braces. Guys, with us as always has been producer AB. That was Chris Capre. Get on over to Seconds, guys. We got Seconds guys in the chat right now. Get some more of that goodness. Love that impulsive, corrective, options-based technical analysis. Lots of in the chat. Up next is Moon or Bust. So thank you guys for being with us. I'm your host, Neal Hamilton. Follow me at Neal's Tweets. Tune in tomorrow for Get Technical. And in the meantime, happy trading.
Yep, and big episode of Moon or Bust coming up. We got Doge Beans Coffee coming on, so I'm excited about that. All right, Neal, we'll be back tomorrow.